Data had a fascinating life in Star Trek before the Next Generation. When most Star Trek fans think of Data, the android from the Next Generation, they immediately picture his pale, almost ghostly face, his golden eyes scanning the Starship Enterprise, and his endless quest to understand humanity. But what if I told you that Data's life before the Enterprise was just as rich, layered, and fascinating? An untold saga of ambition, curiosity, and hidden struggles that shaped the character we came to love. Before he was the ensign who delivered precise observations with a mechanical smile, Data had a story all his own. The first, and perhaps most pivotal, chapter of Data's life occurred in the laboratory of Dr. Noonien Soong. Star Trek fans know Soong as the brilliant, if sometimes eccentric, cyberneticist whose creations revolutionized artificial intelligence in the galaxy. But what we rarely see is how Soong treated Data, not merely as an experiment, but as a kind of surrogate child. Long before the Enterprise crew debated the merits of his emotions or questioned his moral compass, Data was a young creation navigating a universe of potential. Soong, with his characteristic mixture of brilliance and humanity, challenged Data to understand not just facts and logic, but context, creativity, and choice. It was in this pre-Enterprise period that Data began forming the very essence of what made him more than a machine: curiosity. What makes this prequel life fascinating is the sheer scope of Data's explorations. Consider the early missions he undertook on the fringes of Federation space. Before joining Starfleet, Data's programming allowed him to interface with a variety of alien technologies, translating languages no human could decipher, predicting astronomical events with unnerving accuracy, and even mediating disputes between emerging civilizations. These weren't simply missions of observation, they were moments that tested Data's decision-making in morally ambiguous situations. Without a captain's orders or Starfleet protocols to follow, Data had to interpret ethics for himself. These experiences laid the groundwork for his later insistence on moral reasoning and his persistent quest to become more human. Beyond the external adventures, there's the matter of self-discovery. Many fans assume Data's identity was static until his Starfleet induction, but in reality, his pre-Enterprise life was filled with experiments in personality and artistry. Data experimented with painting, music, and literature not as leisure activities, but as rigorous studies in emotional approximation. Imagine an android painting a sunset, calculating the wavelengths of color, the physics of light scattering, and the emotional resonance in the observer, all simultaneously. This isn't simply a curiosity, it's a glimpse into the genius of a mind that yearned to transcend binary limitations. Data's pre-TNG life was a laboratory not just of science, but of selfhood. There's also a social dimension to this early period that often goes unnoticed. While Data may appear socially awkward aboard the Enterprise, he had a rich network of pre-Starfleet relationships. Early interactions with other synthetic beings, like Lore, his brother, and prototype androids, offered both camaraderie and conflict. These relationships provided Data with lessons in trust, deception, rivalry, and loyalty, lessons that would echo loudly when dealing with humans years later. Understanding Data's pre-Enterprise life requires seeing him not as an isolated lab experiment, but as an active participant in a wider community of thinkers, creators, and occasionally miscreants. His moral and social understanding was forged in this crucible long before he ever donned a Starfleet uniform. Another captivating layer of Data's early life is his engagement with historical and cultural archives. Data didn't simply memorize information, he lived it. Simulations of ancient Earth, recreations of pivotal human conflicts, and interactive studies of literary greats allowed him to experience history in a uniquely immersive way. By the time he joined the Enterprise, he had not only cataloged millennia of human knowledge, but had also synthesized insights that most humans would take a lifetime to acquire. It was this pre-Starfleet immersion in human history that gave Data a depth of perspective unmatched by most crew members. Even danger and adversity shaped Data's formative years. Pre-Enterprise missions were far from safe, often taking him into zones of conflict, experimental starships, and rogue AI constructs. Each challenge pushed him to innovate, adapt, and confront ethical dilemmas without supervision. These trials weren't mere footnotes, they were integral to the development of his resilience and moral framework. By the time Captain Picard welcomed him aboard the Enterprise, Data was already a seasoned explorer of not just space, but of identity, culture, and